Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Auction for the Soul. This week's Parsha is Perashat Bo. Sorry about that. We're having some technical difficulties for the people that are trying to get in on Zoom. I just want to apologize in advance. There was a password that I saw that I don't know who enabled it, but I disabled it. And there's still people that tried getting in and were unable to get in and access the class. I apologize for that. This class is recorded live with a live audience on Zoom, and for whatever reason, I'm having some technical difficulties. Again, Mechila, I'm sorry. I will try to figure out a better way to do this so that we could all be here together, and you can't hear me now either. Okay, I don't know what's wrong with my Zoom. I'm gonna cancel the class on Zoom, and just you'll hear it. Whatever happens. Here we go. Same as Gemino's mic. All right. I don't know. I hope that works. Here we go. Okay, so Parsha begins as follows. Parshat Bo says that God says to Moshe, Bo el Paro. Yeah, he says, I want you to go to Paro. I want you to, create this scenario where you're not lech le Paro. You are going to Paro. And the Parsha says, Vayomer Shem Moshe Bo al Paro ki ani chvarati et libo. I am the God that I have hardened his heart, vet lev avadav, and the hearts of his servants. Leman shiti ototai ele bekerbo, right? So that you can demonstrate these miraculous signs to amongst the people, and so on and so forth. So again, why say Bo al Paro? Lots of different questions and answers to this question. The famous one is the Zohar asks the question, why say lech and not, why say Bo and not lech? So he says that in a nutshell, that Hashem isn't just sending Moshe alone. He's inviting Moshe to step into a deeper understanding of how Hashgacha Pratit works. All of this, the whole of Sefer Shemot, is all about us understanding God. We are, at best, we understand three dimensions, maybe a fourth dimension. God is an extra dimensional being. He's outside of all dimensions, time, space, and so on and so forth. And he's saying up until now, I am with you guys. I've been with you. But over here, he's not saying lech, go. There's some kind of distance. He's saying, no, bo el paro. I want you to open yourself up to where the face of Paro. I want you to understand who he is. I want you to be able to understand that I'm already there. I want you to come with me. I'm already waiting there. I'm everywhere. It's a very powerful idea. Parshat Bo is the last three of the 10 makot. These are the last three makot. Okay, you have the locust, you have the darkness, and you have the plague of the firstborns. This week's Parsha also goes into the idea of time, the mitzvah of counting the new month. Now, Paro is fascinating, right? He just witnessed 7 of the most mind-bending miracles that ever happened, watching his country literally being ravaged and destroyed. He still refuses to let the Jewish people go as he's watching his whole entire economy, culture be collapsing, falling apart, and so on and so forth. What is Paro thinking? Why can't he just let go? Why can't he compromise? Why can't he do something? And the truth is, he does try to compromise. He says, okay, leave the animals, leave the women, leave the children. He does not. Why can't he let go? What holds us back from letting go? What is it? Is it because things are familiar and therefore it's about being comfortable? Is it because, we're afraid to move forward because we're afraid of making mistakes? There's all kinds of psychological reasons why people can't let go. But I find this, the people that are stuck in life, in old habits, are the ones that can never fully experience and appreciate the kaleidoscope of opportunities and beauty that the world has to offer. So much of our experience as human beings is, yes, building the good habits, but also recognizing that we have the power of letting go and sometimes letting God step in so that we can become something more, so we can experience new things. How many relationships are stuck? How often do we find ourselves in situations where, I could have, should have let go, but I didn't? Anyway, and that's holding back Paro. His behavior, his refusal to let the Jewish people go as Egypt is collapsing is a reflection of, hey, God hardened his heart, but more so, it comes from this stubbornness that things don't change. Now, Mitzrayim is a fascinating place because Mitzrayim is where the original caste system came from. The caste system is one that is still being used today in India, not as a government, but there's for sure cultural caste systems there. And a caste system means that like you were born in a particular caste, a certain segment in society, and you're never getting out of that society. You're born a pauper, you'll always be a pauper. You're a barber, you'll always be a barber, and your children will be barbers. You're a doctor, you'll be a doctor, and everyone will be a doctor. Like you're royalty forever. Whatever your caste is, that's where you are. You can never change. You can never go out of the system that you're in. Now, Egypt is a fascinating place because they had the caste system. What was their god? The sheep. What do the sheep do? The sheep are people, are animals that just follow. There's no, they're not leaders. When someone's calling you a sheep, right? It's just you're copying something else, or you're being sheepish, you're being weak because you don't have the strength to do your own thing. That was the animal they worshipped. The things don't change. The other god that they worshipped was the sun god, right? His name was Ra. The sun never changes. The sun always rises exactly in the same place, always sets in the same place. There's nothing new. Shum chadash tachat shemesh. There's nothing new. En chadash tachat shemesh. There's nothing new under the sun. And this idea that things don't change is true and false at the same time. There are certain behaviors that are repetitive, but that doesn't mean that we can't change. For example, in Judaism, we do believe in a solar calendar. We also believe in a lunar calendar. We have both. As a matter of fact, we use a lunar calendar to celebrate our holidays. But we create leap years every so often, every few years, so that we can catch up. The lunar calendar and the solar calendar tell us about how to understand time. We use a hybrid system. We use both. So the first mitzvah that the Jewish people get is what? Right? They have to have this thing called HaChodesh Zelachem. This is how you're going to go ahead and celebrate the new moon. Why is the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh, a new beginning, giving to them? That's a weird thing. Give them the mitzvah of believing in God, give them the mitzvah of Shabbat, Tarat Mishpacha, all sorts of mitzvah can be given, but why specifically the mitzvah of HaChodesh Zelachem, new beginnings? And I think it's there to teach you not just that the moon waxes and wanes, it disappears but always comes back, much more than you can always begin again. It's that you have the power of renewing by choosing to let go of an old system. The first thing that the Jewish people had to become masters of is their time. How many of us are slaves to our time? We're slaves to the old habits. We're slaves to the things that we keep doing over and over again. How easy is it, or how difficult is it to reset? What moments in our lives are we able to start fresh with? How often are we stuck in a bad job or in a bad relationship, unwilling to make any kind of real change? So in order for the Jewish people to recognize that they can break out of these caste systems, they have to be willing to let go. They have to be willing to recognize that they are in control of time. We determine time. Did you know that the reason why we have Rosh Chodesh is because it would take time for the witnesses to come back and tell us if they saw the new moon? There was no time without observation. This is a new thing that scientists more recently have told us about, that if something isn't being observed, it does not have a superposition. If it doesn't have a superposition, it does not exist. Reality could only exist with and through observation. We experience the world around us, and that makes the world around you real. So you are fully in control of everything. Now, your mindset is what limits your ability to experience your reality. So if you have the mindset of a slave, you're stuck, you are uninterested in trying something new, you'll always be a slave in Egypt. And if we want to go ahead and turn these people into a nation that had true freedom, had real autonomy, then the first lesson they had to learn was, number one, is that God is with you wherever you go, which means you could always change. You always have infinite power. And the second is that you determine how your time is spent. You're in control. We broke the gods of Ra. We slaughtered the sheeps, the gods of Egypt, to help humanity recognize that their old beliefs of worshiping the sheep, of being stuck in time, were archaic, and ideas that were only going to hold them back from achieving their truest destiny, their truest version of themselves. Letting go is scary. The Jewish people throughout all of Sefer Shemot and the rest of the Bible itself are struggling with, should we go back to Egypt? I don't want to change. We're so stuck. We're scared of change. And there's no question that the world we're in right now is filled with all kinds of change. This new presidency has been fascinating. It's moving at breakneck speeds, better and for worse. It's not perfect, certainly. There's lots of issues with it. But certainly we're living in a time with unprecedented change that's going to take place. And I believe there's going to be two groups of people. The groups of people that learn how to adjust to the change, the people that learn how to use the technology, to use the new realities that are being gifted to us. I think these things are a gift. And if you don't, you'll be left behind. And I don't want anyone to be left behind. How many Jews in Egypt were left behind? Most of them didn't make it out. They may have made it out physically, but psychologically they were still scarred. As a matter of fact, most of the Jews that between the age of 20 and 60 could not let go of their Egyptian pasts. They all died. A new generation that was born in the desert, a place of miracles, a place where they could actually see God's presence every single day for 40 years, and a 40-year rehabilitation camp of traveling through the desert is why the Jewish people were finally able to come into the land of Israel and reclaim it. This is our story. It was a story that took place 3,000 years ago in the desert. And it's a story that's taking place today. How many Jews are stuck? Old ideas of their Judaism. Oh, Judaism's not relevant to me. Old ideas of relationships, old ideas of hierarchy, old ideas. And they're unwilling to go ahead and spend the time letting go of these old ideas and learn new ones. I often say that the quality of our lives is an expression of the quality of the questions that we're going to ask. And Perashat Bo is the last of the 10 plagues. These are the 10 plagues that we use to have conversation at the Passover time when the families are sitting around. We want to question. The Jews of Egypt, their freedom dependent on their intellectual freedom, not just the shackles of the body, but the shackles of the mind. Remember that Mitzrayim comes from the word Metzer Yam, a sea of constriction, a sea of being unable to think clearly, a myopic reality where people are only walking around with one eye. They don't have both eyes open. They can't see clearly. Perashat Bo is about walking with God, having the faith to try new things. It's about letting go and holding on to a God that has infinite possibilities. So I'll end with the following. Let's make it practical. I want you to choose a thought, a habit, a fear, and I want you to let go of it this week. I want you to let go of the things that are holding you back. Find something that's still imprisoning you, whether it's mentally, psychologically, physically, whatever it is, and break free. You have the power of being anything that you want. All God is saying is, "Bo, come." Don't lech. That lech lecha was a specific test for Abraham that happened way long ago. That's not what's happening over here. God is saying, no, the reality has changed. All you have to do is show up. 90% of success is just showing up. Bo el Pharaoh. Meet him there. Understand where he's coming from. Make the psychological shift. Stop identifying as a slave. Start identifying as a free people. Learn the lesson of making the mind shift, and you'll see that you will have amazing things happening for you. Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom Mevarach. May we move from strength to strength. May we be like Bnei Israel, letting go of the past, letting God do all those amazing things he wants from us, recognizing that we have freedom truly in our hands. Shabbat Shalom Mevarach. Looking forward to continuing the conversation next week. Bezrat Hashem.